Where did you get that scar? The billionaire's voice slices through champagne chatter. Every conversation stops. Crystal glasses freeze midair. Zara Johnson, 25, dark-skinned waitress in a borrowed uniform, stares at Alexander Blackwood, real estate mogul worth $3 billion. I don't remember, sir. Her voice barely whispers. The Plaza Hotel's charity gala, 10,000 per plate. Manhattan's elite discussing tax shelters while homeless freeze outside. Zara weaves between tables like a ghost, invisible help carrying champagne worth more than her rent. But now she's center stage. The crescent-shaped scar on her left wrist glows under crystal chandeliers. Alexander's steel-gray eyes burn into her. That mark, identical to his daughter's. His missing daughter who vanished 20 years ago. That's impossible, he breathes. She's dead. But Zara stands before him, alive. What secret could turn a powerful man's world upside down in seconds? The confrontation echoes in Zara's mind as she walks through Queens at midnight. Her feet ache in worn sneakers. The billionaire's words haunt her. She's dead. Who was dead? And why did he stare at her scar like he'd seen a ghost? Zara's studio apartment tells her story in snapshots. Foster family photos line a crooked shelf. Different faces, different homes, different rejections. None show her before age 5. That's when they found her wandering J Street subway station, clutching a torn teddy bear, speaking fragments about Daddy's garden. The system named her Zara, Blooming Flower, because she couldn't remember her real name. 20 years later, she's still blooming in the concrete. Day shifts at Murphy's Diner, night classes at Hunter College, weekend catering gigs for people who don't see her face, just surviving, like thousands of other black stories lost in New York's shuffle. But tonight feels different. That man's reaction to her scar wasn't random. Zara opens her laptop, searches Alexander Blackwood. Headlines flood her screen. Real estate empire built on affordable housing destruction. Blackwood Industries, gentrification king, the usual rich man ruins neighborhood touching stories. Then she finds it. Billionaire still mourns missing daughter 20 years later. Her breath stops. The article shows a younger Alexander holding a framed photo. A 5-year-old girl with dark curls and bright eyes, and there, on her left wrist, a crescent-shaped scar identical to Zara's, Lily Blackwood. Vanished September 15, 2003. Zara was founded October 12, 2003. The timeline matches perfectly. No, she whispers. But her hands shake as she scrolls through more articles. Every detail fits. The age, the scar, the timing. These aren't coincidences. They're breadcrumbs leading to an impossible truth. Could she be Lily Blackwood? The Foster records sit in a shoebox under her bed. 20 years of bureaucratic lies she's always assumed. Now they feel different, important, dangerous. Mrs. Patterson, her old caseworker, lives in Brooklyn now. Retired, lonely, probably watching late-night TV. Zara finds her number in the white pages. Hello? A gravelly voice answers. Mrs. Patterson, it's Zara Johnson from the system. Silence. Then, child, it's midnight. What's wrong? I need to know where I came from, really came from. Another pause. Some doors shouldn't be opened, honey. Please, I found something about a missing girl. Meet me tomorrow. Prospect Park, noon. And Zara? Be careful who you trust with this. The line goes dead. Zara stares at Lily Blackwood's photo until her eyes burn. Same bone structure, same stubborn chin, even the way she tilts her head matches her own reflection. But if she's Lily Blackwood, why doesn't she remember? Rich kids don't just disappear into foster care. Someone took her, someone erased her. And if that someone discovers she's alive... Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. Stop digging, or join the others who got too close. Zara's blood freezes. She checks her locks, draws the curtains, but sleep doesn't come. Morning arrives gray and threatening. Prospect Park stretches empty except for joggers and dog walkers. Mrs. Patterson sits on their usual bench, feeding pigeons from a paper bag. You always were too curious for your own good, she says without looking up. Tell me the truth. Mrs. Patterson's weathered hands shake as she opens a manila envelope. I kept copies. Illegal, but I knew someday. She slides documents across the bench. Your intake report, medical records, police statements. Zara scans the pages. Found wandering, severe trauma, selective amnesia, no identification. But here's what never made the official file. Mrs. Patterson whispers, producing a photograph. "This was in your pocket when they found you." It's a picture of a garden, roses everywhere, a fountain in the center, a massive house in the background, written on the back in a child's handwriting, "Daddy's Garden." Zara's hands tremble. She's dreamed of this garden, always thought it was imagination. "There's more." Mrs. Patterson glances around nervously. "The detective who found you? Rodriguez. She never believed the story, said someone was covering things up. High-level interference." "What kind of interference?" "The kind that makes missing person cases disappear, files get lost, witnesses transfer to other cities, evidence vanishes." Mrs. Patterson stands to leave. "Detective Isabella Rodriguez. She's still asking questions." "Wait. Child, listen carefully. If you really are that missing girl, powerful people want you gone. They might still want you gone." She presses a business card into Zara's hand. "Rodriguez's number. But call her from a burner phone. Trust no one else." As Mrs. Patterson disappears into the crowd, Zara realizes her search for identity might cost her life, but some truths are worth dying for. The burner phone weighs heavy in Zara's pocket as she walks through Spanish Harlem. 3 days since Mrs. Patterson dropped her bombshell. 3 sleepless nights wondering if she's Lily Blackwood or just another lost girl chasing impossible dreams. Detective Isabella Rodriguez agreed to meet at Cafe Luna, a place where real-life stories unfold over strong coffee and weaker hope. Rodriguez looks like she's fought every battle in one half. 45, gray streaks in black hair, eyes that miss nothing. She slides into the booth across from Zara, already studying her face. "You have her bone structure," Rodriguez says without introduction. "Same stubborn chin. I've been waiting 20 years for this call." "You think I'm her, Lily Blackwood?" "I know you are." Rodriguez opens a worn case file. But knowing and proving are different things, especially when powerful people buried the truth. The file spills across the table like confessions. Crime scene photos, witness statements, evidence logs, all stamped with dates from September 2003. Lily disappeared during her birthday party. 50 guests, but nobody saw anything useful. Rodriguez's finger traces through testimonies. Except David Miller. Who's David Miller? Groundskeeper, handyman, the last person to see Lily alive. Rodriguez pulls out a mugshot. Small-time criminal with expensive habits. Worked for the Blackwoods 6 months before Lily vanished. David Miller stares back from the photo. Weathered face, cold eyes, the look of someone who'd sell his soul for the right price. His story changed 3 times. First, Lily was playing alone in the garden. Then claimed she was with other kids. Finally insisted he never saw her that day. Rodriguez leans forward. "You know what I think? I think David Miller knows exactly what happened to that little girl." Zara studies crime scene photos of the Blackwood estate. Massive gardens, fountain centerpieces, roses everywhere. It matches her childhood drawing perfectly. The same stone pathways, identical rose trellises, even the ornate fountain with its dancing cherubs. Where's Miller now? That's where it gets interesting. Rodriguez produces bank statements. 2 months before Lily disappeared, the Blackwood accountant found irregularities. Someone was skimming money. Small amounts, but consistent. The financial records show a pattern. Vendor invoices inflated by 10%. Petty cash discrepancies. Forged signatures authorizing unnecessary purchases. All pointing to systematic theft. Miller. Had to be. Access to household accounts, forged signatures on vendor receipts. Alexander was planning to confront him the week Lily vanished. The pieces clicked together in Zara's mind. Miller faced exposure and needed a distraction. Taking the boss's daughter would certainly shift focus from financial crimes. But why didn't they investigate him harder? Rodriguez's expression darkens. Because the case got federalized. The FBI took over, claiming it was interstate kidnapping. My investigation was shut down within weeks. She produces transfer papers stamped with government seals. Official documents that ended her involvement in the most important case of her career. That's unusual? Unprecedented. Local disappearances stay local unless there's specific evidence of crossing state lines. Someone made phone calls. High-level pressure. Rodriguez shows her a timeline she's reconstructed over 20 years. September 14th. Accountant discovers theft. September 15th. Lily disappears. September 18th. FBI assumes control. September 22nd. Rodriguez transferred to Vice Division. They covered it up. They tried, but I kept copies of everything. Rodriguez taps the folder, including Miller's last known address before he disappeared. He's alive? Was as of last month. David Miller, a.k.a. Daniel Morrison, Tampa, Florida. Works maintenance at Sunset Manor Retirement Community. The revelation hit Zara like electricity. 20 years later, the man who destroyed her life is trimming hedges for elderly residents, living free while she grew up in foster hell. We need DNA first, Rodriguez continues. Prove you're Lily before we confront Miller. How? Rodriguez produces evidence bags. Lily's hairbrush, clothes from her bedroom. Enough genetic material for comparison. She slides a business card across the table. Dr. Sarah Kim, forensic geneticist. She owes me favors. Dr. Kim's laboratory sits in a converted warehouse in Queens. Sterile white walls lined with machines that measure truth in genetic code. While they wait for results, Rodriguez reveals more disturbing details. Miller had help. Moving a kidnapped rich kid requires connections, safe houses, forged documents, corrupt officials. She shows Zara a network chart she's been building for decades. Names connected by red string like a conspiracy theorist's nightmare. Social workers, judges, placement officers, all linked to suspicious adoptions and missing children cases. You think there's an organized network? I know there is. Miller was small-time muscle. Someone bigger orchestrated Lily's disappearance. 3 days later, Dr. Kim calls with results that change everything. 99.7% match, she reports. Zara Johnson is definitely Lily Blackwood. The words hit harder than expected. 20 years of wondering answered in a single phone call, but euphoria fades quickly. If she's Lily Blackwood, that means David Miller kidnapped her, sold her, covered his tracks while her father mourned. There's more, Dr. Kim continues. The DNA shows markers suggesting trauma-induced memory suppression. Chemical intervention, possibly Rohypnol or similar compounds. They drugged me? To erase memories before placing you in the system. Professional job. Someone wanted you to forget your previous life completely. Rodriguez meets her that evening at Brooklyn Bridge Park. Manhattan's lights twinkle like false promises across dark water. Now we go to Florida, Rodriguez explains. Confront Miller with DNA evidence. Force him to confess. But Rodriguez has been digging deeper. Miller's financial records show monthly money orders sent to a Brooklyn P.O. box. $500, same date every month for 20 years. Hush money, Rodriguez explains. Either Miller's paying someone to keep quiet or someone's paying him. Either way, it proves this conspiracy didn't end with your placement. They booked flights to Tampa that night. As Zara packs her few belongings, she finds the childhood drawing of Daddy's garden. 20 years later, she's finally going home. But first, she needs answers from the man who stole her life. The plane takes off through storm clouds. Below, New York shrinks to scattered lights. Somewhere in those lights, Alexander Blackwood continues his 20-year search for a daughter who's flying toward the truth. As they descend through Florida sunshine, neither woman notices the man photographing them from across the terminal, or the encrypted message he sends, "They found Miller. Activate contingency." 20 years of silence is about to explode into the open, but some secrets have guardians willing to kill to keep them buried, and Zara's journey for truth has painted a target on her back. Tampa's humidity hits like a wall of betrayal. Sunset Manor Retirement Community sprawls across manicured lawns, hiding monsters behind rose gardens and shuffleboard courts. Zara's heart pounds as they approach the maintenance office. 20 years of stolen memories are about to collide with the man who erased them. David Miller looks smaller than his mugshot. 60 now, gray-haired, wearing a uniform that screams harmless maintenance worker. But Zara sees the calculating eyes that destroyed her childhood. Detective Rodriguez badges her way past the receptionist. "Daniel Morrison, we need to talk." Miller's coffee cup crashes to the floor when he sees Rodriguez. His face drains white, then flushes red. Panic and recognition war across his weathered features. "Detective Rodriguez," he stammers. I heard you retired." "Some cases never retire, David. Or should I call you Daniel?" The maintenance office falls silent except for humming air conditioning. Zara steps into view, and Miller's reaction is immediate, visceral. He stumbles backward, knocking over a tool cart. "That's impossible," he whispers, staring at her scar. "She's supposed to be dead. They promised me she was dead." "Who promised you?" Rodriguez demands. Miller's hands shake as he realizes his slip. 20 years of careful silence shattered in seconds. His eyes dart between the door and the women blocking his escape. I don't know what you're talking about. Bullshit. Rodriguez slams the case file on his desk. Lily Blackwood, September 15th, 2003, your last day at the Blackwood estate. Crime scene photos spill across Miller's workspace, the garden where he claimed Lily was playing, the fountain where she allegedly drowned. All lies, and he knows they know. I didn't hurt her, Miller protests. She wandered off during the party. Kids do that. Then explain these. Rodriguez produces bank statements showing the monthly money orders. $500 every month for 20 years. That's $120,000, David. Miller's carefully constructed cover crumbles. His new identity, his quiet retirement, his normal life, all built on blood money. You don't understand the pressure I was under, he begins. Enlighten us. Miller glances at Zara again, studying her face like he's seeing a ghost. You really don't remember, do you? Rosa did her job well. Who's Rosa? My sister, Rosa Miller. The name falls like a confession. She ran a network, placement services for families who couldn't adopt through official channels. The truth starts unraveling. Rosa Miller operated a shadow adoption network in Brooklyn. Undocumented families willing to pay for children and false papers, a market where stolen kids became commodities. You sold me, Zara whispers. You sold a 5-year-old girl. It wasn't supposed to be permanent, Miller's voice cracks. Rosa said you go to a good family. Better than staying with Alexander after... After what? Miller stops himself, but Rodriguez presses harder. After what, David? After the investigation. Alexander was getting too close to the money I took. If he found out about the embezzlement... Miller's confession spills like poison. I needed time to disappear. Taking Lily was supposed to distract him, buy me a few days. But it went wrong. Rosa was supposed to hide her for a week, then arrange an anonymous return, make it look like a random kidnapping. Miller's voice breaks. But when I came back for her, Rosa said the placement was permanent, said Lily had been moved to a family that needed her more. The casual cruelty of it hits Zara like physical blows. She wasn't kidnapped for ransom or revenge. She was collateral damage in a petty theft scheme. Where was I during this week? Miller's eyes fill with genuine remorse. Rosa had safe houses, places to hold children between placements. But some of the families... He swallows hard. They weren't good people, Zara. When I realized what Rosa was really doing, I tried to get you back. You're lying. Check the money orders. They weren't payments to keep Rosa quiet. They were payments to find you. Miller pulls out a worn notebook. 20 years of addresses, phone calls, private investigators. I've been looking for you almost as long as your father. The notebook contains pages of meticulous records, names, addresses, dead-end leads, a man's futile attempt to undo the worst mistake of his life. But Rosa died 5 years ago and her network scattered. I lost track of where you ended up. Miller looks at Zara with desperate hope. Are you okay? Did they treat you well? The question hangs in the air like a slap. 20 years of foster homes, abuse, neglect, aging out of the system with nothing. Zara's okay in the way survivors are okay, scarred but breathing. I'm alive, she says simply. Rodriguez has been recording everything on her phone. Miller's confession, his admission of kidnapping, his knowledge of the trafficking network. Enough evidence to put him away for life. There's more, Rodriguez presses. Who federalized the case? Who shut down my investigation? Miller's face goes pale again. I can't tell you that. They'll kill me. They? Rosa's partners, the people who really run this thing. Miller looks around nervously. Rosa was middle management. The real power comes from people you can't touch. Try me. Judges, politicians, rich families who pay for children like they're buying cars. Miller's voice drops to a whisper. Alexander Blackwood wasn't the only target. They've been doing this for decades. The scope of the conspiracy becomes clear. Not just one kidnapped child, but hundreds. A systematic network trafficking children to wealthy buyers while corrupting the system meant to protect them. Names, David. I need names. But Miller shakes his head. You have no idea what you're walking into. Some secrets have bodyguards. As if summoned by his words, Miller's phone buzzes. Unknown number. He stares at the screen like it's a death sentence. Don't answer it, Rodriguez warns. Miller's hands shake as he reads the text message. We know where you are. Clean this up, or we will. It's too late, Miller whispers. They already know you're here. Through the office window, Zara spots two men in dark suits approaching the building. They move with the precision of professionals, scanning exits and positioning themselves strategically. Back door, Rodriguez hisses. Now. But Miller grabs Zara's arm. Listen to me. Whatever happens, don't trust anyone in the system. Judges, FBI, social workers, they're all compromised. The only way to expose this is through the media. Who runs it? Who's at the top? Miller's eyes fill with terror as heavy footsteps echo in the hallway outside. Richmond Sterling, lawyer in D.C. He's been placing children with powerful clients for 30 years. The office door explodes open. Two armed men in tactical gear flood in, weapons drawn. David Miller, the leader announces. You're coming with us. As gunfire erupts in the retirement home, Zara realizes her search for identity has uncovered a conspiracy that reaches the highest levels of power, and they'll kill anyone who threatens to expose it. Gunfire shatters the Florida afternoon. Elderly residents scream as tactical teams storm Sunset Manor. Rodriguez shoves Zara behind an overturned desk while bullets punch through drywall. This way! Miller yanks open a maintenance tunnel hidden behind filing cabinets. Emergency exit! They crawl through dusty darkness as chaos erupts above. Rodriguez's police training kicks in. She counts muzzle flashes, estimates shooter positions, plans their escape route. Behind them, heavy boots pound across the maintenance office floor. Why are you helping us? Zara gasps, her knees scraping against concrete. Because I've been running from these people for 20 years, Miller pants. Maybe it's time to stop running. The tunnel stretches endlessly through the building's foundation. Pipes drip overhead, and electrical conduits snake along grimy walls. The sound of pursuit echoes behind them. Shouted orders, radio chatter, systematic room-by-room searches. The tunnel opens into a drainage canal behind the facility. They emerge soaked and muddy as sirens wail in the distance. But Rodriguez knows those aren't rescue sirens. They're cleanup crews. My car, she whispers, pointing to their rental in the visitor parking. They sprint across open ground while automatic weapons chatter behind them. Muzzle flashes light up windows as Sterling's team realizes their targets have escaped. The car engine roars to life just as black SUVs screech around the building. Drive! Miller shouts. Rodriguez floors it onto Highway 75, weaving through afternoon traffic. In the rearview mirror, 3 SUVs give chase. Professional drivers, military precision, unlimited resources. The speedometer climbs past 90 as they race through suburban sprawl. They're hurting us, Rodriguez realizes. The pursuit vehicles aren't trying to catch them. They're forcing them toward a specific destination, boxing them in, limiting their options. Where? Somewhere isolated, somewhere they can clean up loose ends. Miller checks his phone. Dozens of missed calls from unknown numbers. Richmond Sterling doesn't leave witnesses. The highway stretches ahead like a concrete noose. Strip malls and gas stations blur past. Behind them, the black SUVs maintain perfect formation, close enough to pressure, far enough to avoid ramming. Zara grabs Miller's arm. Tell us everything. Right now. As they race through rural Florida, Miller reveals the horrifying scope of the conspiracy. Rosa's trafficking network wasn't just about illegal adoptions. It was a systematic operation selling children to elite buyers worldwide. Rich people want what they can't have legally, Miller explains, his voice shaking with each sharp turn. Babies for couples who can't adopt. Young kids for labor camps overseas. Teenagers for worse things. How many children? Hundreds over 30 years. Rosa kept meticulous records. Names, buyers, prices. Miller's voice breaks. Some kids went for $50,000, others sold for $500,000 depending on age and appearance. The SUVs are closing in. Rodriguez spots a highway construction zone ahead. Concrete barriers, heavy machinery, limited visibility, perfect for an ambush. Orange signs warn of lane closures and speed restrictions. Hold on! She yanks the wheel hard right, jumping the median into oncoming traffic. Horns blare as they weave between 18-wheelers. The pursuit vehicles follow, but they're losing ground in the chaotic traffic pattern. There! Miller points to a truck stop ahead. Public place, witnesses, security cameras. They screech into the parking lot just as their fuel gauge hits empty. Rodriguez parks between two semis, using them as cover while she calls for backup. Diesel fumes and road dust cloud the air. But her phone shows no signal. Professional jamming equipment. "We're on our own," she mutters. That's when the real truth emerges. Miller pulls out a weathered photograph from his wallet. It shows two children playing in a garden, Lily Blackwood and another girl with identical features. Same dark hair, same gray eyes, same crescent-shaped scars on their left wrists. "Who's the other child?" Zara demands. Miller's hands shake as he reveals the bomb that will destroy everything they thought they knew. "Your twin sister, Emma." The words hit like physical blows. Zara stares at the photograph, seeing her own face reflected twice. Two 5-year-olds, mirror images, playing in the same garden, building sandcastles, chasing butterflies, living the childhood she can't remember. "That's impossible. I would remember." "Rosa separated you immediately. Standard practice for multiple children. Harder to trace, better profit margins." Miller's confession spills like poison. Alexander never knew he had twins. The birth records were falsified. The conspiracy goes deeper than anyone imagined. Not just one stolen child, but two. And Emma, wherever she is, has been living a lie for 20 years, just like Zara. "Where is she?" "I don't know. Rosa placed her with a different network. International buyers, probably Europe or Asia." Miller shows them more documents. But there's something else, something that changes everything. He produces medical records from Lily's birth. Hospital documentation that proves the twins weren't just Alexander Blackwood's daughters, they were the key to a massive inheritance fraud. Alexander's wife couldn't have children. The pregnancy was fake. You and Emma were purchased from a surrogate, then presented as legitimate heirs. Miller's voice drops to a whisper. "But if anyone discovered the truth, they'd lose everything," Rodriguez finishes. The Blackwood fortune wasn't built on real estate alone. It was built on lies, and Zara's existence threatens to expose decades of inheritance fraud that could topple dozens of wealthy families. That's why Richmond Sterling ordered their kidnapping. Not for trafficking profits, but to protect his wealthy clients from exposure. The children weren't products, they were evidence. Who was our real mother? Miller shakes his head. Rosa never told me. But whoever she was, Sterling made sure she couldn't talk. Car accident in 2004, right after you disappeared. Through the truck stop windows, they spot their pursuers regrouping in the parking lot. 6 men in tactical gear, automatic weapons, communication equipment. They're not here to arrest anyone. "We need proof," Rodriguez says. "Something that exposes the whole network." Miller reaches into his jacket and produces a small flash drive. "Rosa's backup files. Every transaction, every placement, every buyer for 30 years. Why do you have it?" "Insurance. Rosa gave it to me before she died. Said if anything happened to her." Miller looks directly at Zara. "She wanted you to know the truth about your sister." Rodriguez plugs the drive into her laptop. Files cascade across the screen. Financial records, placement documents, buyer profiles. The evidence needed to destroy Sterling's empire and free hundreds of stolen children. But as they review the data, they discover something that makes Zara's blood run cold. Emma's placement record shows she was sold to a family in Switzerland. But the buyer's name makes everything click into place. Victoria Sterling, Richmond's wife. Emma has been living with the conspiracy's leader for 20 years, raised as his own daughter while Zara suffered in foster care. The ultimate insurance policy, Sterling's stolen daughter trained to love the man who destroyed her family. That's why they can't let you live, Miller realizes. Emma doesn't know she's stolen. If she discovers the truth, she'd turn against them, Rodriguez finishes. The tactical team is moving. Through the truck stop's CB radio, they hear encrypted communications. Targets acquired, preparing to neutralize. "Back exit," Rodriguez whispers. "Service road behind the kitchen." They slip through the truck stop's rear door just as the assault team breaches the front. But waiting in the alley are more armed men, closing the trap with military precision. "Surrounded," Miller breathes. That's when salvation arrives from an unexpected source. Alexander Blackwood steps out of a black limousine, flanked by his own security team. His steel-gray eyes lock onto Zara's face, and 20 years of grief transform into fury. As helicopters thunder overhead and tactical teams close in, Zara realizes saving her twin sister might cost her the father she just found, but some family bonds are worth dying for. "Let them go," Alexander commands Sterling's men, his voice carrying the authority of someone who's never been denied. The tactical team leader hesitates. Through his earpiece comes Sterling's voice. "Mr. Blackwood isn't part of the operation. Proceed with neutralization." "Sir, we have orders." "I don't care about your orders. That's my daughter." Alexander's security team fans out, weapons drawn. 20 years of searching has led to this moment, and no one will take Lily from him again. The standoff stretches taut as piano wire. Alexander's private military contractors versus Sterling's government-trained killers. Father versus the conspiracy that stole his child. Truck drivers scatter as the parking lot becomes a battlefield. "How did you find us?" Rodriguez asks, keeping low behind their rental car. Alexander shows them a tracking device hidden in the rental car's undercarriage. "I've been monitoring any investigation into Lily's disappearance for 20 years. NSA contacts, CIA favors, FBI surveillance." His voice hardens. "When you accessed those old case files, it triggered alerts across 3 federal agencies." "You know about the conspiracy?" "I suspected. Corporate espionage revealed suspicious patterns, missing children from wealthy families, private adoption agencies with government connections, systematic interference in law enforcement investigations." Alexander's eyes never leave Zara's face. But seeing her, there's no doubt. "You're my daughter. You have your mother's eyes." The reunion neither of them expected is interrupted by Rodriguez's phone buzzing with a message that changes everything. "Dad, they're moving Emma tonight. Private jet to Prague. If you want to save both daughters, come alone. Reagan National Airport, private terminal, 1 hour. RS." Sterling has Emma, and he's using her as bait to lure them into a trap that's been 20 years in the making. Alexander reads the message over Rodriguez's shoulder. His face goes ashen as the implications hit him. "Emma, there's another daughter?" Miller produces the photograph of the twins, now creased and stained from their escape. Emma doesn't know she's stolen. Sterling's wife raised her as their own child for 20 years. She thinks Richmond Sterling is her father, the cruelest twist in a conspiracy built on cruelty. While Alexander mourned one lost daughter, another grew up calling his enemy Daddy. 2 halves of his heart, split between grief and lies. "We need to expose everything," Rodriguez says, pulling out her laptop. "Media, law enforcement, Congress, blow this wide open before Sterling can disappear with Emma." Her fingers fly across the keyboard, uploading Rosa's files to secure servers. The evidence spreads across digital networks like wildfire. 30 years of child trafficking, political corruption, and systematic murder. Financial records show payments totaling hundreds of millions. Client lists read like a who's who of American power. Medical documents detail memory suppression techniques used on trafficked children. Each file is a nail in Sterling's coffin, if they can get the truth to the right people. Within minutes, Rodriguez's phone explodes with return calls. CNN, Washington Post, 60 Minutes, every major news outlet demanding confirmation of the explosive allegations. "This is Rebecca Martinez, CNN Investigative Unit," one caller identifies herself. "We're reviewing files showing systematic child trafficking by a D.C. law firm. Can you verify its authenticity?" "Every word," Rodriguez confirms, "and I have witnesses willing to testify." But Sterling's response is swift and merciless. News outlets across the country receive cease and desist orders backed by federal court injunctions. Social media platforms mysteriously crash when users try to share the files. Government databases suddenly go offline for routine maintenance. He's using his connections, Alexander realizes, watching news websites go dark one by one. Judges, politicians, media executives, Sterling's been placing children with powerful families for decades. They're all compromised. Miller shows them Rosa's client list on the flash drive. Names that make headlines, faces that grace magazine covers. The shadow network of compromised officials whose careers depend on keeping Sterling's secrets buried. "Senator Patricia Williams," Rodriguez reads aloud, as she adopted 3 children through private agencies between 2005 and 2012, all traced back to Rosa Miller's network. "Judge Harold Morrison, 2 adoptions from Sterling's agencies, both children from families who were investigating government corruption. FBI Director Thomas Washington. His daughter was purchased from Rosa in 2008, right after her biological father started exposing defense contractor fraud. The list goes on. A shadow government of compromised officials. No wonder the original investigation was shut down so quickly. Sterling didn't just traffic children, he strategically placed them to create a web of blackmail and control. Alexander's security chief approaches urgently. "Sir, we're monitoring federal communications. The Justice Department is preparing arrest warrants for everyone involved in today's events." "On what charges?" "Terrorism, kidnapping, conspiracy against the United States. Sterling's people are claiming you're running a child trafficking ring to discredit legitimate adoption agencies. The accusation is brilliant in its audacity. Turn the victims into perpetrators, make the evidence appear fabricated, discredit everyone before they can testify. Sterling's using the very system he corrupted to protect himself, but Rodriguez has been preparing for this moment her entire career. She produces a second flash drive from her jacket. Not Rosa's files, but 20 years of her own investigation. "Insurance policy," she explains. "Every lead I followed off the books, every witness statement I collected unofficially, every piece of evidence the official investigation ignored or destroyed. Her files paint a picture that no amount of political pressure can erase. Systematic patterns across hundreds of missing children cases spanning 3 decades. Financial connections between Sterling's law firm and placement agencies in 12 states. Medical records showing trauma indicators consistent with memory suppression drugs. We go public simultaneously," she decides. "International media, foreign governments, social media platforms Sterling can't control." Alexander uses his corporate connections to contact media outlets in London, Tokyo, and Sydney. Rodriguez reaches out to Interpol contacts in Europe. Miller calls whistleblower organizations with secure communication channels. The story explodes globally before Sterling can contain it. American lawyer accused of 30-year child trafficking conspiracy dominates headlines from BBC to Al Jazeera. Foreign journalists, immune to Sterling's political pressure, broadcast the evidence worldwide. International law enforcement agencies begin their own investigations. Within hours, protests erupt outside Sterling's D.C. offices. Parents of missing children march on Capitol Hill demanding answers. International human rights organizations call for immediate intervention. But Sterling's final gambit is already in motion. Alexander's phone rings with a video call from an unknown number. The screen shows a private jet interior, luxury seats, marble fixtures, and Emma Blackwood sitting across from Richmond Sterling. She looks exactly like Zara, but polished by 20 years of privilege. Designer clothes, perfect makeup, the confidence that comes from never knowing hunger or fear. She calls Sterling Daddy and discusses their vacation plans to Prague with genuine affection. "Hello, Alexander," Sterling's voice comes through the speakers. "I thought you'd like to meet your other daughter before I permanently relocate her." Emma looks confused as Sterling explains the call. Her voice, cultured and educated, carries no trace of her stolen origins. "Daddy, who is this man? Why does he say I'm his daughter?" The innocent question cuts deeper than any threat. Emma genuinely loves Sterling, trusts him completely, has no idea her entire life is built on lies. 20 years of careful psychological conditioning. Sterling continues with professional pride. "Emma believes you abandoned her, Alexander. She thinks her real father, you, threw her away because she wasn't perfect enough." "That's not true," Alexander says, his voice breaking as he sees his daughter's programmed hatred. But Emma's response is immediate, visceral. "Daddy told me about you, how you threw me away when I was 5, how you never wanted me because I reminded you of my mother's death." As Sterling's jet prepares for takeoff, Zara realizes her sister is carrying the key to exposing the entire conspiracy. If they can reach her before she disappears forever into a world where truth becomes buried under 20 years of carefully constructed lies. "The plane leaves in 30 minutes, Sterling announces through the video call. "By tomorrow, Emma will be living in a country with no extradition treaties. You'll never see either daughter again." Alexander stares at Emma's face on the screen, his daughter brainwashed into loving her kidnapper. 20 years of lies have poisoned her mind against the father who never stopped searching. "Unless," he asks, though he already knows the price. "Unless you come alone, trade yourself for Emma, one father's life for both daughters' freedom." Sterling's smile is practiced, predatory. "Reagan National, Private Terminal 7. You have 45 minutes. The ultimatum hangs in the air like a death sentence. But before Alexander can respond, Zara grabs the phone. "Emma," she calls out, "look at your left wrist!" Emma glances down automatically. The crescent-shaped scar is partially hidden by her diamond bracelet, but still visible. Her programmed certainty wavers for a moment. "You have the same mark I do," Zara continues, showing her own scar to the camera. "We got them the same day in the same accident, because we're twins." "That's ridiculous," Emma says, but her voice carries less conviction. "Daddy, tell her that's ridiculous." Sterling moves to end the call, but Emma stops him. Something in Zara's voice, her face, the identical scar, seeds of doubt are taking root. "Emma, do you remember anything from before you were 5? Zara presses. "Dreams about a garden, a fountain, a man singing lullabies?" Emma's face goes pale. "How could you know about—" She stops herself, looking at Sterling for explanation. "Childhood fantasies," Sterling says quickly. "Nothing more." But Emma's hand moves unconsciously to the gold necklace around her throat, the same necklace mentioned in Rose's files, kept with each twin to maintain their connection. "The necklace has an inscription," Zara says, reading from the documents. "2 hearts, 1 soul. Our mother's words." Emma's fingers trace the pendant's engraving. She's worn it every day for 20 years, told it was from Sterling's deceased mother, but the words Zara speaks match perfectly. "You're lying," Emma whispers, but tears are forming in her eyes. "Emma, sweetheart," Alexander's voice breaks through her confusion. "I sang you to sleep every night until you were 5. Your favorite song was Somewhere Over the Rainbow. You always asked for the verse about bluebirds." Emma's composure cracks completely. Those memories, dismissed as fantasies, flood back with devastating clarity. A loving father, a safe home, a life before Sterling. "No," she sobs. "That's not possible. Daddy saved me. You threw me away." But the evidence is overwhelming. The scars, the necklace, the buried memories. Everything Sterling told her was a lie. Sterling realizes he's losing control of his psychological masterpiece. "Emma, don't listen to them. They're trying to confuse you." "Then explain the scar," Emma demands, her voice strengthening. "Explain how she knows about my dreams. Explain why I remember singing about bluebirds." Sterling's mask finally slips. "Because you're both valuable commodities, and sometimes commodities need to be relocated for market efficiency." The cold, clinical language destroys 20 years of fake paternal love. Emma sees him clearly for the first time, not a loving father, but a criminal who stole her childhood. "You monster," she breathes. Sterling's patience evaporates. He signals to his security team, and Emma is roughly restrained in her seat. The private jet's engines begin spinning up for immediate departure. "Time's up, Alexander. Come alone or lose both daughters forever." But Alexander has been planning his own operation. His security team isn't just protecting, they're positioning for assault. Private military contractors with government connections, specialized in hostage extraction. "Rodriguez, take Miller and Zara to FBI headquarters," Alexander orders. "Make sure the evidence reaches the right people." "Where are you going?" "To get my other daughter." The race to Reagan National Airport becomes a high-speed chase through D.C. traffic. Alexander's convoy of black SUVs weaves between cars while Sterling's jet taxis toward the runway. But Alexander's corporate empire includes defense contractors with military-grade surveillance equipment. Satellites track Sterling's jet while electronic warfare specialists jam his communications. "Sir, we've locked onto their aircraft transponder," his security chief reports, "and we've identified their flight plan, Prague, with fuel stops in Iceland and Germany. Ground them? Working on it. The FAA is routing emergency traffic to block their takeoff window." Sterling's jet reaches the runway just as air traffic control orders an indefinite hold. Alexander's vehicles surround the aircraft before it can taxi into position. Through bulletproof glass, Emma watches her real father approach. 20 years of brainwashing war with emerging memories of genuine love. She sees Alexander's tears, his desperate hope, his willingness to trade his life for hers. "Emma," Sterling hisses. "Remember what I taught you about these people. They abandoned you once." But Emma's hand closes around her necklace, the one piece of her real mother Sterling couldn't erase. "You lied to me about everything, didn't you? I protected you, gave you opportunities, education, a better life than you would have had with them." You stole me. Sterling's facade collapses completely. You were merchandise, Emma. High-quality merchandise that commanded premium prices. Your biological father means nothing. The cruel truth liberates Emma from her psychological chains. She stands up in the jet's aisle, no longer the compliant daughter, but a woman discovering her own strength. I want to go home, she says simply. Sterling draws a pistol from his jacket. That's not your choice to make. But Emma surprises everyone, including herself. 20 years of martial arts training, riding lessons, and private tutoring have made her stronger than Sterling realized. She kicks the gun from his hand and runs toward the aircraft door. Alexander's team breaches the jet simultaneously. Sterling finds himself surrounded by professional soldiers while Emma collapses into her father's arms for the first time in 20 years. I remembered, she whispers. The garden, the songs, your voice reading bedtime stories. I remembered everything. FBI agents swarm the aircraft, arresting Sterling and his remaining associates. Rodriguez arrives with Miller and Zara, completing the reunion that seemed impossible an hour ago. Alexander holds both daughters, seeing their identical faces side by side for the first time since they were 5. 20 years of grief transform into joy, though the scars of their separation will take time to heal. Sir, Rodriguez interrupts gently. We need to move. Sterling's network is still operational, and they know you're all here. But the moment of victory belongs to the family. Sterling's empire is crumbling, his political protectors abandoning him, his carefully constructed lies exposed to the world. As federal marshals lead him away in handcuffs, Sterling makes one final threat. This isn't over. The network is bigger than you imagine. But as Alexander walks between his reunited daughters toward a future free from lies, he knows the truth has set them all free, and no conspiracy can survive the light of justice once it finally breaks through 20 years of darkness. 2 years later, the Blackwood Foundation headquarters buzzes with purpose. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlook Manhattan's skyline, but inside every surface displays faces of found children. 847 recoveries since Sterling's network collapsed. Zara stands before a wall of reunion photographs, each one representing a family made whole again. Her journey from foster care to billionaire heiress feels surreal, but the work grounds her in reality. Emma approaches with 2 cups of coffee, a morning ritual they've developed. The identical twins move in unconscious synchronization, finishing each other's sentences, sharing private jokes that bridge 20 years of separation. The Morrison family called, Emma says, handing Zara her coffee. We found their daughter in Romania. She's coming home next week. The relationship between the twins hasn't been simple. Emma struggled with guilt over her privileged upbringing while Zara survived foster care. Therapy sessions helped them understand neither was responsible for Sterling's crimes. Some days I look at you and see the sister I should have grown up with, Emma admits during one session. Other days I see a stranger I'm learning to love. Zara nods understanding, nods. We lost our childhood together, but we can build our future together. Alexander joins them at the window, grayer now, but lighter somehow. The weight of 20 years searching has been replaced by the joy of daily connection with his daughters. Congressional testimony starts in an hour, he reminds them. Final hearings on the Sterling conspiracy. The trials have consumed 2 years. Sterling himself died in federal custody, officially a heart attack, though many suspect his former clients silenced him permanently. But his network's exposure triggered the largest government corruption investigation in American history. 47 officials across 6 states were indicted. The Supreme Court lost 2 justices to resignation scandals. Congress passed the most comprehensive child protection legislation ever written. The Sterling Protection Act requires real-time federal databases for missing children, independent oversight of all adoption agencies, mandatory reporting within 2 hours of disappearance, life sentences for anyone profiting from child trafficking. Emma takes the witness stand first, her transformation from victim to advocate inspiring millions. She describes Sterling's psychological manipulation with clinical precision, helping other survivors recognize similar conditioning. For 20 years, I believe my father abandoned me, she testifies. Sterling used that manufactured trauma to control every aspect of my life. But truth is stronger than lies, and love is stronger than fear. Zara follows, her voice steady as she recounts foster care abuse and the system failures that enabled trafficking. Her testimony sparks nationwide reform of child services. "I survived because I never stopped believing someone was looking for me," she tells Congress. "Today, we ensure no child has to survive alone." The congressional hearing room erupts in applause. Families of missing children fill the gallery, many holding photos of sons and daughters still lost. The Blackwood Foundation has given them hope where none existed before. Outside the Capitol, Zara addresses gathered media with the confidence born from surviving the unthinkable. "2 years ago, I was a waitress who didn't know her real name," she says into a forest of microphones. "Today, I've helped reunite nearly 1,000 families. This transformation is possible because good people refuse to let evil triumph." The press conference became a celebration. Families share touching stories of children found through the Foundation's work. Former Sterling victims speak about reclaiming their identities and rebuilding their lives. David Miller, granted clemency in exchange for his testimony, approaches the podium. Prison has aged him, but his eyes hold the peace that comes from redemption. "I can't undo the harm I caused," he tells the crowd, "but I can ensure every detail I remember helps bring other children home." His information led to Sterling's Swiss bank accounts, funding the Foundation's international operations. Justice sometimes wears unexpected faces. As evening falls, the Blackwood family returns to their estate, the same gardens where Lily and Emma played before their world shattered. But now the fountain runs clear, the roses bloom freely, and laughter echoes where tears once fell. Alexander walks between his daughters, marveling at the women they've become. Zara's strength forged in adversity, Emma's compassion refined by truth, both proof that love survives even the cruelest separations. "What are you thinking about?" Emma asks, noticing his thoughtful expression. "Miracles," Alexander replies. 20 years ago, I lost everything. Today, I have more than I ever dreamed possible." Zara smiles, understanding the deeper meaning. "We didn't just find each other. We found our purpose." The Foundation's work continues expanding globally. Missing children in 30 countries benefit from resources and expertise born from their personal tragedy. Evil intended to destroy their family has instead created hope for thousands. These real-life stories remind us that family bonds transcend time, distance, and deception. Love doesn't disappear when someone is taken. It grows stronger, deeper, more determined, and sometimes the very forces that try to break us become the foundation for our greatest victories. Have you ever wondered what invisible threads connect us across impossible odds? Share your own touching stories in the comments below. Subscribe to hear more incredible journeys of families reunited and justice served, because every family deserves to find their way home.